Am I the asshole for not buying my girlfriend's kids cars? My daughter is turning 16 and I agreed to help get her a car. She asked for a little Honda or Toyota that's good on gas. We set a budget of $3K, and if she wants something more expensive then she needs to kick in the remainder. My girlfriend's 2 kids got upset because I won't buy them the cars they want. One asked me for BMW i8 and the other requested a brand new truck. I told them they needed to take it up with their mom and dad that they are the ones that should be buying them a car. We aren't married and only been together 2.5 years. Their dad is pissed because I won't help out his kids and girlfriend's pissed because I'm doing for my kids but not hers. Girlfriend's sister and husband agrees with them saying I'm an asshole for treating her kids different. I don't think I'm the asshole but instead feel like I got a gold digger family after what I work hard for. Figured I'll let the internet determine if I'm actually the asshole and if I should reconsider my stance on the subject. Not the asshole, but do you pay for everything for your girlfriend and her kids? It sounds like maybe that's the case. Why do they feel so entitled? And her ex as well? They're all waving red flags here. You might need to reconsider this whole relationship. While you're willing to help your own daughter out with $3,000 towards a car, I don't understand why anyone else would come with their hands out, expecting money too. I certainly wouldn't be paying for cars for anyone else. You're not married. The father of these children thinks you should purchase a BMW and a new truck for his children while you are getting a $3K Toyota for your own daughter. Really? You are surrounded by a bunch of grasping leeches. I would re-evaluate your relationship with GF. If you buy your daughter a computer, are you going to be expected to also buy computers for her children? If you finance your daughter's college education, are you also expected to finance her children's education? These for tit-for-tat expectations are going to get out of hand really fast. You are not responsible for her children's needs and wants which seem to be quite extravagant. I don't think I'm the asshole but instead feel like I got a gold digger family after what I work hard for. I'd say that is the correct assessment of this situation. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Well, not being married is going to make this next bit a whole lot easier. Not the asshole. You're prioritizing your child with a reasonable car purchase, while your girlfriend's kids are making extravagant demands. You're not married or financially responsible for them. Their entitlement, and your girlfriend's reaction, are unfair. Gold digger family for sure. Even the dad thinks you should be paying. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole for not admitting I couldn't understand what the nurse was saying during a mammogram? I just went for the most awkward mammogram I've ever experienced. The nurse seemed to be getting frustrated with me for not understanding which way she wanted me to move. Part of the problem was that she did not use words like left, right, forward, backward, etc. Just a lot of move this way, which I struggled to interpret. She also had a very strong South African accent, i.e. a different accent to mine. Her increasing frustration and insistence that I relax. I came in reasonably relaxed but that was long gone by this stage, of course had the opposite effect. And then when she asked me to hold my breast out of the way and I heard dress instead of breast, I nearly ended up in tears when she gave up on communicating and kind of grabbed my hand to pull my breast back. I then tried to de-escalate the tense situation and apologized that I am a little hard of hearing and had misheard her. She immediately became angry and said in quite a shouty voice that I should have told her this and she would have spoken in a slower and louder voice. I replied that it is not an easy thing to tell people, which seemed to anger her more. I should have said that her way of conveying instructions was also perhaps not as clear as she thought it was, but did not have the guts to say this and by now was actually quite upset. All this while I am still standing at an awkward angle with one breast wedged in the machine and the other being held back by my hand in hers. I have never been diagnosed as hard of hearing. In fact, I had a hearing test during the past year that said my hearing is good. However, my children tell me I do have a hearing problem and I tend to think they might be right, even though they are horrible mumblers, haha. Anyway, I was shaking by the time I sat in my car and questioning how that all went so wrong and how I could have handled it better. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. I'm sorry you had such a bad experience. Mammograms are uncomfortable and so intimate. The technician handling our breasts and cold metal plates make a big difference. It seems as though her accented English was hard to understand, but she also was rough in addressing you and handling you. No one should have a discussion like that while you are still partly in the machine and undressed. She does not seem sensitive. These things can undo us sometimes. Take the time you need to restore your equilibrium, and then contact the office. This woman needs more technical training and interpersonal training. You may need more hearing testing. Explain what your children report to an audiologist. Take care. She behaved terribly and you should report her. What if the patient were someone who has a history of abuse and was handled this way? There is no excuse for her behavior and it's not your fault. Even if you should have spoken up, as another person said here, It doesn't seem like Nurse Ratched made you feel safe enough to speak up. Evident by the way she reacted when you tried to de-escalate by saying you were hard of hearing. Report her or at least leave an anonymous bad review if you fear retaliation. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. For whatever reasons, I struggle really badly with heavy accents. Maybe an auditory issue? It also sounds like a foreign language to me when more than one person talks at once, even in English with no accent. But I don't want to make the other person feel shitty, so sometimes I'll say, "I'm sorry, I have trouble hearing sometimes, can you please slow down and speak louder?" But whatever the reason, she had no right to get harsh with you, let alone grabbing your hand during such an awful exam. Well, any exam, but particularly a physically uncomfortable one. Not the asshole, but speak up for yourself. I'm not going to fault you for reacting awkwardly during a mammogram. The whole thing is uncomfortable. And there are different types of hearing problems. I can hear various decibel levels, but in a noisy setting, I cannot hear a single voice clearly, so you may technically have hearing difficulties. The real issue was that when you didn't understand what she meant, you didn't tell her to stop and explain. Not the asshole. Mammograms are stressful and uncomfortable. You should notify the facility how she treated you. Sorry you had this bad experience. Not the asshole. It's on the person performing the medical test to make themselves understood and confirm you understand what they've said. Clear instructions seem like the basic minimum requirement. Left, right, up and down are universal, and I usually accompany it with a hand gesture so there's no confusion. As someone who does have hearing loss, I always start with telling people I don't hear well, just because I have run up against this before. Complain about her attitude, as I'm sure you are not alone in getting her harassed attitude that stresses an already stressful and uncomfortable experience. Am I the asshole for asking my parents for my money back? I've always dreamed of moving out from my family home because of all the drama I faced growing up with them. I moved out around 2022, but somehow my parents convinced me that paying rent somewhere else doesn't make sense when I could just live at home for free. As someone who wants to buy their own place one day, this made sense. However, ever since moving back, I've been asked to pay for things that I've been promised would be paid back for. It started off with just some random $200 here and there. But then it jumped to $1,000 and eventually even $10,000. Now mind you, my parents and I live in a very well-off neighborhood in a house that has 7 bedrooms with marble floors. So from the outside, it looks like we're very well off. But my mom has explained to me a few times that they're struggling to pay off the mortgage on this house and our previous house. I obviously thought about, or why don't you just sell our old house? But it is our childhood home and you would be ashamed to get rid of that asset. I've asked politely about when I could be expecting my money back. But I would usually be responded with, "I can't talk about that right now," or, "It's coming, just be patient." That was a year ago. It's hard to be talking about this subject with them without them losing their temper. To me, it just seems like they're ignoring the fact that they have to pay me back and that hopefully, I'll forget. I'm a student right now and pay for my tuition myself, and I work part-time. And I know I'm living in their house rent-free, but at this point, I'd rather just move out again than have these inconsistent promises and guilt-tripping. So far I am probably owed $25,000. Am I the asshole for pushing them to pay me back? Edit. People that have been suggesting that I should just move into our other house, buy off the deed since I paid so much already. I wish I could, but my relatives are renting out the house right now. Plus $25K isn't nearly enough to put a down payment. And as much as I shouldn't be hopeful, my parents said that the only reason they aren't selling it is because they would like to pass down the other home to either me or my sister. No, not the asshole, but learn a lesson from this. Money lent to friends and family is pretty much given away and will rarely be seen again. Not the asshole, but agree with other comments that you should learn from this. In my opinion, going through the legal system would be the best way to ensure you get your money back. Especially if they lose their temper and sounds like they gaslight you every time you bring it up. Not the asshole, but you're never seeing that money. Your parents are living beyond their means. Learn the lesson. Never lend money to anyone unless you're okay never seeing it again. Save every penny you can so that you can move out and take care of yourself. Sorry. Not the asshole. It's your money and you worked for it. That amount is not small, so it's just right that you ask for it. Maybe it's time for you to move out now, good luck. Not the asshole, but it is our childhood home and you would be ashamed to get rid of that childhood asset. Why? Because it's an asset? It's not an asset if it is a money pit requiring thousands of dollars thrown at it on an ongoing basis, and no source of income, refuse to rent or sell. Perhaps you move into the other house, consider the $25,000 a down payment and take over payments on it. It stays in the family, too. Am I the asshole for not meal prepping for my vegetarian partner? I, 29 male, spend most Saturdays or Sundays doing the meal prep for the upcoming week. I generally make meat meals, like yesterday for example I made rice bowls with ground beef and vegetables. As the title says, my partner, 28 female, is a vegetarian, by choice. I do a lot of the cooking because she works odd hours at her retail job and I genuinely like cooking. Lots of times I'll make things where meat and veggies can be added or just straight up veggie meals, think chickpea bowls. The last few times I've made my meal prep, my wife has commented she wished I would meal prep for her too. I will usually make extra carbs for her, rice, potatoes etc. And occasionally extra veggies, but this morning she got very angry that I had my lunches all ready for the week and she only had the extra rice I made. I told her I'm happy to make extra rice or potatoes for her, but I already spent an hour and a half making my lunches. If she wanted to eat the meals as is, with meat, she could take them, but I'm not spending another half an hour, 45 minutes cooking meals just for her. She said I could just go veggie too, but I replied I don't like soy and she doesn't like beans, so that won't happen because I always feel hungry after eating solely vegetarian meals and I am trying to lose weight by limiting snacking. She stormed out this morning and isn't responding to my texts. So my question is, am I the a-hole for not making her some meals? Are we just at impasse? Thank you Reddit. Edit. She finally texted back and said, she thought we were a team and asked what am I going to do when the future kids go vegetarian. Am I just going to make them cook their own meals? This is turning out to be a bigger deal than I thought. Not the asshole. I would maybe offer a trade-off. What chore could she take on that would give you an hour back somewhere else? But either way, you do not have to prep an entirely different menu. You are setting yourself up for the week. She could choose to do it with you. She could prep something to go in the oven that you could pop in while you are cooking. She could take the rice or potatoes and just add a few things. She's an adult. Not the asshole. It sounds like you're doing a lot of cooking already, and trying to be considerate with the extra rice and veggies. It's understandable that your partner wants more meal prep for herself, but it's also fair that you don't want to spend extra time making separate meals when you already put in a lot of effort. Communication around food preferences and responsibilities definitely seems to be the core issue here. Maybe it's worth discussing a meal plan that works for both of you, where you're each taking on some of the prep to meet both your needs. By the time any child is old enough to choose to be vegetarian, they are also old enough to make their meals. This is your girlfriend announcing that she intends to impose vegetarianism on her children from birth. Not the asshole. Why isn't she meal prepping, too? Not the asshole. Your soon-to-be ex-girlfriend is looking for a fight. She's manufacturing one out of idiocy and laziness. Why do I say that? Because she's a grown adult, she can make her own food, and unless she does some task that takes her time in an equal manner like laundry, why should you spend time for her? It's just ridiculous. She sounds incredibly entitled and spoiled and perhaps narcissistic. Maybe this is a one-off or this is a symptom of some more deep-seated issues. I'm vegetarian and I would not expect anyone to spend extra time making me separate meal preps, and I certainly wouldn't expect my husband to go vegetarian to suit me, so I personally think she's being unreasonable and that you are not the asshole. Also, her forcing vegetarianism on any future children should be discussed, as it's not just her choice, you have a say in it too. I'm vegetarian and my daughter eats meat. Her daughter comes to stay with me and she has a mixture of meals. She does eat some of my vegetarian meals, but that's because she chooses to, not because I force her to. I would never dream of forcing my life choices on anyone else, and maybe your partner should have a think about that too.